Oscar nominations have been announced. Some of the nominees have long been a dead cert in their categories, whilst others are more of a surprise, and there have definitely been some dirty snubs as well. So I'm going to give you a rundown of all of the main categories that people tend to be interested in. I think I'll kick things off with Best Supporting Actress. So in this category we're looking at Kathy Bates, Laura Dern, Florence Pugh, Scarlett Johansson and Margot Robbie. Now, I'll admit this isn't a category where I've witnessed too much of the work that's been called into question here. In fact, the only film that I have seen is Jojo Rabbit, and Scarlett Johansson, she was pretty good. I would say it's probably a tie between Florence Pugh and Laura Dern for who is most likely to take the award, and I'd probably lean on Laura Dern. I just feel like they may lean more with experience. So we'll go from there to Best Supporting Actor, and in this category we're looking at Tom Hanks, Anthony Hopkins, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci and Brad Pitt. This one is quite a strong race, I think it's fair to say. There are some absolute legends in this category. When I was watching The Irishman, I tipped Joe Pesci to win this award. I just feel like Joe Pesci takes it back to kind of like the old school glory days with his performance, and we know that The Irishman harks back to an age that the Academy, they fall in love with it every single time. I would say Joe Pesci is likely to win it, and I'd also really like to see him win it. Although I do have a soft spot for Brad Pitt after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because he made the film. So now we move on to Actress in a Leading Role, and I've actually seen none of the performances that have been nominated in this category. Of the names listed here, which are Cynthia Erivo, Scarlett Johansson, Saoirse Ronan, Renée Zellweger and Charlize Theron, I'd like to see Cynthia Erivo to win it, based off of what I've seen from her in the past. However, Renée Zellweger played Judy Garland. We're going back to old Hollywood. The Academy loves that. So now we move on to Best Actor, and up for the awards in this category are Antonio Banderas, Leonardo DiCaprio, Adam Driver, Joaquin Phoenix and Jonathan Pryce. So I'm going to say straight off the bat that I think Joaquin Phoenix is going to win for his role as Arthur Fleck / Joker. I mean, he is a fantastic actor, there is no denying it, and I feel like he morphs into every single role that I don't think he plays the role, I think he becomes it in everything that he does. Probably would be quite happy to see Joaquin Phoenix win for Joker. Although, not to spill too much tea, it's probably the only category I'd be that thrilled to see it win. On that note, we move on to Best Director. So we've got Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, we've got Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Sam Mendes for 1917 and Todd Phillips for Joker, alongside Bong Joon-ho for Parasite, which is the only film in this category that I've not seen yet because of the glorious UK release dates. There's three that are kind of fighting it out here. I think Sam Mendes will win for 1917 for the approach that he took there, and honestly, the work that must have been involved in orchestrating that. I don't want to think about how many people he had to get to be in the right places at the right time, all of the things that he had to think about when putting together this film that was essentially created to just look like it was all one shot. There's a hell of a lot of planning and a hell of a lot of direction needed, and I think if anything is going to flex the talents you've got as a director, it's going to be doing something like that. I think the real competition here to Sam Mendes is Martin Scorsese, purely because he is Martin Scorsese. He's done a film that he, has clearly shown is his niche. Like, the old style gangster film is his thing. He's nailed that time and time again, which I suppose is an argument for not giving him the award. Come and flex your muscles in something different. But yeah, I think most likely to win, Sam Mendes, and having seen 1917, I'd like to see him win. So now for the biggie, Best Picture. And there are a lot of nominees in this category, 9 this year. They are as follows: Ford versus Ferrari, or, if you're UK based, Le Mans 66. The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Marriage Story, Parasite and 1917. Now, it's interesting that Little Women is in that category because supposedly it directed itself. The films I have seen here: Ford vs Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and 1917. I think really this one is a tie between The Irishman, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood Parasite and 1917. Now, I've not seen Parasite, but I feel like the inclusion of it in the category, it's a bit of a wild card. I've heard a lot of good things about it. It'd be very interesting for that one. I don't think it's likely to, but part of me would kind of like to see it as the dark horse, just run up from behind and snatch it. Honestly, I think Best Picture is a tie again between The Irishman and 1917, much like Best Director. And I would say possibly the one that wins Best Director will be the one that also wins Best Picture. That's pretty much a rundown of all of the main nominations. A few honourable mentions include Knives Out for the Best Original Screenplay. I thought Rian Johnson did a fantastic job with writing this one and directing it as well. So I also want to mention Roger Deakins' cinematography and also the editing for 1917. I'd love for the two of those nominees to win in both of the categories because I think they kind of go hand in hand, and I don't think you can really praise one without giving kudos to the other one because, you know, if one part of that machine falls apart, none of it's going to work. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you leave a comment below. Tell us who it is that you want to see win on the big night. Make sure you hit subscribe and click the bell so you get a notification every single time we've got new content for you to see, because you do not want to miss any of this. And most importantly, make sure you keep it geeky.